Something big has now entered my collection. Something that we have been waiting an entire calendar year to ship out since its production started. And that is, of course, Legacy HasLab Deathsaurus. He's finally here, and he is the subject of today's Deceptibot 9 review. So why don't we go ahead and check him out? How's it going, everyone? Deceptibot 9 here, and thank you, as always, for coming by for another Transformers review. I'm super excited for this one, and I hope that you guys are too. Now, before we get into everything that HasLab Deathsaurus has to offer, I'd like to ask, if you like what you see, go ahead, hit that like button. Plus, if you like what you see and you want to stick around for more, go ahead, hit the subscribe button as well. Plus, make sure to hit the notification bell so that you never miss when we upload a video here on the channel. All of my social links, including my Entertainment Earth affiliate link, are in the description down below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and check out Legacy Deathsaurus. All right, now really quick before we actually look at the figure, I do want to highlight the box art. I did a short about it, or the box itself, the packaging really. I did a short kind of about it when I unboxed him the other day, but I still want to show it off in detail here really quick. So first of all, apologies for having to zoom out. This is a massive box, and it is beautiful. I love this artwork up here. Guido Guidi did just a fantastic job capturing Deathsaurus here in all of his glory, as well as the breast masters. And you can see we get the Transformers Victory logo all done up in Japanese, which is awesome, with Deathsaurus right there. And this beautiful Transformers Legacy logo done in this like sheen purple kind of deal, which I absolutely love. The logo again up there at the top. If we look at the sides, this side has Transformers in that same sort of purpley sheen as the Legacy logo. This side includes, here's like all like the major accessories and everything. It's obviously not everything that comes with him, because we'll see that in a minute, but it is still very cool. And here on the back, we get to see some product shots. You get to see him in his alternate mode there. You get to see him posed up with some weapons going on there, and sitting, of course, in his throne. So yeah, inside there was like 3 separate boxes. I'll throw some pictures up of the unboxing process there. So 3 little boxes that had everything contained in it. And it was a fun unboxing process. I do also want to show off the instruction packet really quick, because it's not every day we get a cool one like this. So it's got the logo and the beautiful artwork, the Legacy logo there. And it is a big fold out, not a booklet like HasLab Unicron was, thankfully. It's just a big sheet. I can't even fit it on here because of how big it is, but it really details everything that you can do, all of the weapon storage, all of the accessory options, all of the transformations. The front page covers like the transformations of the little guys, all the accessory placement, and the back is the transformation into the alt mode. But yeah, I mean, it's done up in like full color, which is something that rarely ever happens. So super neat to see that. But yes, that is all the kind of packaging stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead, move to the actual figure now. Okay, and here he is. Here is Deathsaurus on his throne, and with all of the accessories and everything that he does come with. You can fit pretty much all of the accessories for Deathsaurus on the back of the throne. Plus, we get the 2 Micromasters, we get some blast effects, and here is a stand piece, which we'll all go ahead and show off when the time comes. I just wanted to get you guys a quick overview here of how cool and how much stuff this guy comes with. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's start getting into the robots. I'm going to go ahead and start with all the little ones first. So we'll go ahead, take a look at Pipo and Boater really quick before we move on up. All right, here are Pipo, or Pipo, I don't know exactly how to say it, one of those ways, and Boater are 2 little Micromasters that are included with Deathsaurus. For anybody who got the Victory Saber, which does not include me, he comes with the other 2 Micromasters that I believe just form a whole little team. I haven't seen much of the Victory show, I will be honest with you, so I don't know much about these characters, but you know, they're a little bit better than your standard Micromaster from Siege or Earthrise. I've been kind of fiddling a lot with them more than those Micromasters, especially Boater. Really like this little fella. He is a lot of fun. I think it's just because it's a unique little mode, and he's a big you know, big little boy. But let's go ahead here really quick. Take a look at Pipo. He is, as you can see, a small little ambulance done up all in white plastic with some blue here on all of the windows all around. He's got little black wheels and red here on the top of the ambulance. You can see his whole body under there, and he rolls a little bit, a little bit of rolling action there. Transformation on him, though, is just very similar to all the other MicroMasters. Flip things around, flip, flip here, separate, and pull down. Now, these guys, I will say, they feel a lot better produced than the other Siege and Earthrise MicroMasters. Their plastic quality feels better. They feel better to handle all over. So I'm enjoying these ones, whereas I didn't really enjoy a lot of the Siege and Earthrise ones. I enjoyed some of them, but not all of them. But anyway, here is Pipo in his robot mode, and you can see he's got some more red details now with a little Autobot symbol, a little bit of blue up there in the little head sculpt, little tiny head sculpt, if you can see it. There it is. He does have some sculpted detail here on the arms, so you can see that he's got arms. And, you know, not much here going on the legs because it's just the front of the ambulance. But, yeah, I mean, solid little dude. No real articulation besides ball joint here on the arms, and I guess a shift here on the arms as well. He's got ball joint hips that there he goes. It goes all the way forward that way, and it goes, you know, kind of out. Not really very posable. These guys aren't really meant for posability anyway, but they are certainly cute. So, I mean, there's Pipo, just a little fun guy. And Boater, who I've actually really been enjoying, done up in a blue. I believe it's painted, or no, maybe it's molded. I can't tell. No, it's painted. Painted blue with some white molded plastic here. I really love this boat mode. I think it's so fun, so cute. Looks really, really nice, and it's got some details here on the sides and on the top piece. And again, transformation on him is just like a regular MicroMaster, but with a little bit more going on kind of deal. So flip those little pieces up there. Then you're going to flip the top of the boat down, and you're going to pull down the arms just like that. And there he is. There's Boater. And he has a head sculpt that I really, really enjoy. Just looks so like quintessential Transformer to me. Very, you know, like Soundwave, you know, mixed with Ratchet kind of deal going on, which I absolutely love. And you can see he's got little blue eyes in there, and he's got white paint and red paint going on. A little bit of paint on the fists with some sculpted detail in there. But yeah, and he's got nothing in the head for their articulation. His arms are on ball joints just like Pipo's. They go out like that. Legs are on the same ball joint. They move a little bit more just due to the less kibble going on here. And his knees are on ball joints, so you can swivel his knee parts as well. But yeah, I mean, those are the MicroMasters that you get. I mean, again, they're MicroMasters. I like them a little bit better than the Siege ones because they feel a little bit better produced and they feel a little bit bigger, and so they're a little easier to handle. But there's those little guys. And then before we get to Deathsaurus proper, I just want to talk about the Breast Masters, or I guess they're going to be called Chest Masters in English, whatever they're called, really quick, because these guys are also lots of fun. So we have Eaglechest right here, and we have Tigerchest right here. And Eaglechest, he's just kind of like Laserbeak. Again, I don't know much about how they interact in the show. I haven't really seen Victory all that much, so I can't comment that much. But from my experience seeing here, he's kind of like Laserbeak, right? He folds up into a box, turns into a bird, and he goes in the chest, right? That's how it goes. But he is a nice little square box with some red, some blues, blacks, silvers, Decepticon symbol there. On the other side, you see a little bit more detail happening there on the sides and whatnot. And let me show off the compatibility really quick before we go some transformations. Okay, so how these guys, both of these guys, Tiger and Eaglechest, work with Deathsaurus is you can see Deathsaurus on his chest here has just this big old flap that's on a spring. So when you don't have either of the Breast Masters interacting with Deathsaurus on his chest, he does still have a flat little chest piece right there. But if you want to store your Breast Masters, you can take Eaglechest, and he just goes right into that slot. You push him all the way in, and he kind of rests kind of in the middle, just like that. Now, obviously, you don't want to put just Eaglechest in, because then you're going to have a big gaping hole. So you're going to take Tigerchest, and he's got a folded up pieces going on there, and you just want to slide and clip him in, and then he will rest on Deathsaurus's chest. Obviously, very, very cool how he looks displayed with the Breast Masters, rather, because come on, look at that. That is just quintessential Deathsaurus. And if you want to pop them out, you got to move the little chicken head back here. And there's a little space for your finger to go. I think that's really neat. So you just kind of push on it, and with a gentle push, this guy will pop out, and then you keep pushing, and you will get the other guy to pop out. So then you are left with a plain chested Deathsaurus. You could also, if you wanted, if you're going to use Eaglechest for accessory purposes or whatever, which we'll talk about in just a minute, you can just take Tigerchest and you can clip him in without having Eaglechest there, and he stays on just fine. Then you just have to gently yoink him out of there when you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and swoop this guy out for a minute. Whoop, and we're going to come back to these guys. So these guys are both triple changers, essentially. So they both turn into these pieces to form the chest. They both have a robot mode, and they both have an accessory or a weapon mode, which we will go ahead and show off. So we'll go with the weapon modes first. So let's go ahead and set off Tigerchest to the side here. And we'll start with Eaglechest. To turn him into his weapon mode, you're just going to do some flipping. You're going to pull out the peg, flip these wing pieces out, and then here's the cannons. Fold those cannons out, and then clip the box pieces back down together, and you're just going to fold the clip down like that. And he's a little square gun. It looks a little silly. It's a little funky, but it does the job. It does the job. And we'll talk about this more with the weapons when we get to the other accessories, but all of Deathsaurus' weapons are sculpted like this, and they can all slide into his hand. So you can see here, Eaglechest fits in as a little box gun thingy. Plus, if you want to take the blast effects that come with Deathsaurus, the cool purple ones, which we'll look at later, they slide right on the tips of Eaglechest, so that he can be, pew-pewing away as you desire. So let's go ahead really quick, go back to Tigerchest so we can talk about his transformation into his weapon mode. So come down here to the underside, and you're going to pull the little wing pieces, out. I should mention, see that just popped off. They come disassembled in the package, so that you don't have to worry about your gold vac metal chipping anyway during packaging. So you just have to put them on the pegs there. They do sometimes on my copy have a tendency to slap off a little bit, but it's no big deal. So you pull those wings out like that. Then there's this little piece sitting under him right here, which you are just going to pull out and flip this little section up. Then you're going to come to the head, and you can see on the head piece here, there's a little T opening, and there's a little T spot right there. So you just tab those two pieces together. Then the last thing you need to do is this little vent piece that's right here on the top of him. Flip that over, because that's how you are going to be able to store the arrow accessory, which I'll bring out right now so that we can just see its functionality, and we'll talk about it. No, we'll just talk about it now. It's just a big long arrow piece done up all in this sort of orangey gold kind of plastic. It's got two tabs on it, which is where it stores in different modes, and I'll show that off in accessories. But for now, you'll go ahead and slap it into the front of Tigerchest here, and he's fully formed up as a bow and arrow. So how Tigerchest works with Deathsaurus here is to kind of get him into position first. It's a little easier. If you put one arm out to the side, you'll see there's these two tabs here on the inside of the forearm, which is where Tigerchest will tab into. They've built in butterfly joints on to Deathsaurus, so you can kind of get those already. And I like to angle the fingers down. So you'll see right, if it focuses, right there on the top, there's these two little pegs. Those are going to slide right into Deathsaurus's arm here. And then you just pose it however you wish. And that's how you get the Tigerchest bow and arrow situation going on with Deathsaurus. I honestly really, really like this look. I think it's really, really cool. And I would definitely keep him this way more if Tigerchest didn't just look so damn cool on his chest. But yeah, you can see he's got that archer pose going. Oh, that's a good shot. I like that. Take a picture of that. Look at that. That is sick. Anyway, yes, so that is both of the Breastmaster's weapon functionality. Let's go ahead and finish the Breastmasters off by talking about getting them into their robot modes. So Eaglechest, pretty straightforward. If you haven't already done this part where you flip the guns out and stuff, you're just going to fold these wings out, fold those. Then you're going to extend the wings all the way out. That includes two little flip. And that side too, so you get the wings out there. Then you're going to rotate the head around, pull out his little tail feather, flip this piece back up, and fold out his little feet. Boop, boop, boop. And there he is. You can open his mouth. There is Eaglechest, all up into his eagle robot mode, which looks, it's like a little bird. It's very Laserbeak-esque, in my opinion. So I do enjoy it just because of the nature of the fact that he's like Laserbeak. And I do love it. It's just a boxy bird boy who we love. He's got a little bit of detail up here. You can see his eyes down there. They are painted ever so slightly a different red color than the rest of his head, but not by much. And he's got his silver beak up here, which does move, as you saw, can open and close. Guns are done up all in black, just like the rest of this piece under here. His claws, rather, are all in black. If you look on this side where his wings are, he is mostly red, but he does have those details that we saw in his box mode. Plus his little tail feather has some additional details going on here with some black going on. Yeah, I mean, Eaglechest is nice. His wings do have joints here, obviously, at the shoulder part. There's another one right here where the maybe elbow is. I don't think you can bend this piece much up, so just be wary of that. It goes down more so, but this one does bend up just a little bit if you want to get sort of a, bent up kind of wing look going. And this piece is just on swivel, so not much articulation going there, but still a little bit. The feet are on ball joints down here and also a hinge, and you'll see they have some posts because they peg into the top of the throne, which I will bring him back out and show when we look at the throne. But yeah, I mean, that's about it for Eaglechest. Very, very nice little guy. Very Laserbeak, in my opinion. So let's go ahead now and check out how to get Tigerchest up into his robot mode. So what you're going to do here is you're going to flip this piece back up. Boom, just like that. Then you're going to bring this whole section out and fold out his whole tail, like a little brochure. Pull that back down. Leave these wing pieces out because you're going to come down here. You're going to refold this piece back up. And then you want to leave these wing pieces out because you're going to swing these back legs around like so. And then you're going to pull out these front little feet here. Then you can flap these pieces back in on the slider joints. You can see the slider joints there on there. Head is also on a slider joint, so you want to pull that out and it should click or just sort of rest in its resting position. Then fold the gold wings up, and here's Tigerchest. He is a little guy. He's not little. He's kind of fairly big, actually. They're both a little big. You can see kind of his size with a regular core class figure. It's kind of what I'm equating them to as, core class-ish. So essentially, Deathsaurus comes with 2 core classes, 2 Micromasters, Deathsaurus himself, a bunch of accessories. But yeah, you can kind of see there how that size works out. And yeah, in Tigerchest mode, he is really, really cool. He's got his gold. You can kind of see it sparkly up on the head with some red eyes. You got red detail here and the blue and the reds and the Decepticon symbol on the chest. And all of this sort of gold-ish sparkly color that was on his head is down here on his underside as well for his arms and his tummy and his tail. You can see all the molded detail in there. And of course, the big vac metal gold pieces. And for articulation on him as well, his head is on the slider, so you can get it tilting, a little side to side, but the head itself is also on a ball joint, so you can rock it up and down and twist it side to side ever so slightly. His mouth is on a opening joint as well, so you can open his mouth to roar. Front legs are on swivels. I think they're on ball joints, but they're very tight to the body, so they don't really move outward a lot, so they go forward and backward a lot. They bend here at the elbow. They're on a little pin there. The back legs are just on swivel. So they swivel back, swivel forward, and they hinge at the knee. And you can also hinge them out if you would like. But yeah, let me bring Eaglechest back in. That's about it for the two Breastmasters. Whew. A lot to cover. I'm trying to go fast. Now let's go ahead and bring in Deathsaurus himself. All right, here is Deathsaurus. Finally, super excited to finally have Deathsaurus, and he does not disappoint. He looks great here in his robot mode. We'll start up here with the head. I'm going to try to cover the details, kind of fast because there's a lot of accessory stuff that we got to get to, and it's all great. But beautiful head sculpt. I absolutely love this head sculpt. It's got, all of the blue all over it with the reds on the horns and the little bird eye pieces there. Vac metal on the crest with the white for the, over crest, red eye, silver plate, black going on in the vents there. Looks beautiful. Regular chest up here, we got blues, Decepticon symbol, the black, some molded detail. You can see on the arms all of the color and molded detail happening there, even down to the sides. And the blue, the lighter blue color that's the same as the wings, going on for the elbow joint with the darker blue, the golds, the reds, all meshing together. Molded fist with individual molded fingers. We'll talk about that later. And the waist here, we can see this sort of off-white color with the black and the red. Looks awesome with the lighter blue here with so much detail packed into the legs as well. Absolutely tremendous looking there. On the back, you can see just his little chicken head hanging out here. Hello, buddy. With some extra pieces there covering up some alt mode kibble, which is really cool. Moving down to the other side of the legs here. All this cool vent detail, all the molded detail here on the side looks fantastic in this gray. And on the front, we get the gold with some blacks and red, some more of that darker blue with the gold vents as well, and molded up black feet. So, of course, also, before we finish with the details, you have to talk about the wings. Wings look super cool, done up in this sort of light baby blue color with all of the detail that's molded in here on the side pieces. Beautiful. In the red and the black with the Decepticon symbol. Mesh very well on the wings. He's just absolutely fantastic looking, like just in general. I just have to have, just a big shout out to the character design itself because it's a fantastic looking character, which is, part of the reason why I wanted to get the figure anyway is because the character looks cool and he's just a big evil kaiju essentially from what I understand. So that's great. And I missed out on Victory Saber and I felt it hard because Victory Saber looked really cool. And I definitely did not want to miss out on Deathsaurus. And I'm glad I didn't because he looks absolutely sick. So let's cover articulation really quick. Then we can finally get to all the accessories because there's a lot of stuff to get to there. So Deathsaurus is actually really posable for, a big figure of this size. We'll talk comparisons in a minute too. But up here on the head, it is on a ball joint, so it can rotate. Not all the way around. It gets sort of blocked by the collar piece up there, but it can look up that far, down that far, tilt side to side around a little bit. Waist, as you see, is on a big swivel that gets it swiveling pretty much all the way around if it wasn't blocked by the big chicken head in the back. The wings are articulated as well. They can flap back and forward. They can also angle themselves all the way up. So if you want to, get them sort of like that, you could. Arms have the ability to go all the way around if you've got to move the wing out of the way on a nice heavy ratchet there, which is awesome. They do, if you go straight down, they click in, so they are stuck here. You have to kind of pull them out, and then they are free moving from there. Elbows are on a swivel and he bend a little bit over 90, which is pretty solid. Wrists do swivel all the way around, and he has articulated fingers, so it's sets of two. So it's the first two and the bottom two can move individually of each other, which is great. Legs here, they go, if you move the hip skirts out of the way, they go forward that far. They go backwards all the way that far, which is awesome. And how's he going to do on the splits? If you get all his arms and stuff out of the way. Oh, beautiful. 10 out of 10 on the splits. This guy is passing and getting his black belt for sure. Look at that guy. That was beautiful. And those legs are all on nice heavy ratchets, as you heard as well, which is great. He does swivel up here at the thigh as well. He has two knee joints essentially, so he's got a big, heavy, ratcheted one right here, which is his main knee joint. But there are some things that, like sitting in the throne, and for transformation, if you pull the gold kneecap out, you get this second knee joint as well, and you can just kind of close that back up. And it gives him just a little bit more range if you want to get him some more knee action happening, which is really cool, and I do like that they did that. On the feet, they do pivot in just ever so slightly like that. They can also point down and stuff due to transformation. So that about covers that part of the robot mode for Deathsaurus. So now, before we get him transformed into his super cool kaiju mode, we got to go through all of this guy's accessories. We've covered the Micro Masters, we've covered the Breast Masters. Now we got to cover everything else that you saw. So let me bring it in. All right, so here is pretty much all of Deathsaurus's other accessories all kind of thrown together in one. We'll talk first about the blast effects because they're just the standard, like, I think we first got these with Jetfire, the Jetfire blast effect pieces, but they're done up in purple, and the purple looks really, really cool all around, and there are various places that you can put these blast effects on. You know, I'll show them off kind of as they come. They're more so for the weapons and the alternate mode. So these will definitely come back for sure, but you do get two of those. And you also get a flight stand piece as well, which is, this is an adapter for the alternate mode. So we'll see this come back. And then I will show this off here in a minute once we're done talking about the throne. But this comes to use in both modes, which is very, very cool. Well, again, we'll see that in a second. And as you can see at the bottom here, he does have this beautiful sort of Death Star. It looks like the Death Star to me. So it's a Death Star base, in my opinion. Looks really neat. It's just a big hunk of gray plastic with some lining detail all over it. And there's the throne itself, which looks absolutely stunning. Super, super cool all over the place here. The sort of faded, or not faded, but the transitional color from red to the purple down here is super cool. It just looks like a nice big kind of comfy sofa with a lot of bubbles, which is really interesting, but you can see all the molded detail happening there. There's a cutout for where his chicken head goes when he sits here in robot mode, which you saw at the beginning of this piece, and then the Decepticon symbol painted up in purple, of course, on there. The other reason I started with the throne rather than the flight stand is because the throne also holds, it stores all of the other accessories, which is really cool. Something I think is really cool about all the accessories to begin with is pretty much all of them can store on Deathsaurus. He can use basically all of these at the same time on his body, so we'll kind of take them off one by one, talk about them, and then show their usefulness on Deathsaurus. So to do that, why don't we go ahead and just pop the throne off. We'll kind of go like this. Yoink the throne off. There's four big ports on here and 4 big portholes here on the base. What we're going to do is we're going to slide in the flight stand here. And Deathsaurus is going to port into the back here so we can kind of have him. You can see there's a port here on his butt. You just put that right in. And Deathsaurus will hang out right there. So he can kind of hang out as we go through each of these accessories and how they play out. So we'll start with the big shield piece here. You take this off. A lot of the times what's going to happen is the blue handle here is going to be left on the piece. But you can see there's just a little port right here on the back of the throne. With this peg, we'll go, you know, right there. And the shield plugs in right there. So how the shield is stored is the handle lays flat like this. This also allows it to transform, which we'll talk about in a minute. But for Deathsaurus to use it, one way, what you can do, take this piece off. You can see the peg hole right here in the front. You plug that in, and then this handle, just like the handle piece for Eaglechest, is sort of that T-shape handle. So you got to kind of, I don't know how well I can get it on camera, but you have to kind of slide it in at an angle because there's a notch in the fist. And once you get that notch, you get the peg in the notch, then you can fold the fingers up around it. This one is the trickiest to get actually pegged in there for some reason, but you get it pegged in there securely, and boom. Then you can have a shield, just like that, which, in all honesty, in my opinion, I I'm not going to really use him with the shield on like this all that much. It just doesn't kind of like pivot to the side or anything that I would really want it to do in the front. So he just kind of has to stay there in the front, which is a little awkward in my opinion, but it does the job as a shield, I guess. It'd be cool if there was spaces for blast effects to go. You can't put any blast effects or anything on there because this turns into the tail, so you don't want to compromise that, obviously. But there is another way to store the shield here on Deathsaurus. If you look at his shoulder here, you can see there's a little divot. If you flip this out, it exposes a peg hole. Now, if you revert this back to its storage configuration here, this peg is perfect size for the peg hole on his shoulder, and that's how I much prefer to rock Deathsaurus with the shield kind of up on the shoulder. Looks much better in my opinion, and it gets to be a shield weapon on the shoulder rather than down in the hand, which I think is neat. It does kind of block the way of the wing there, obviously. No big deal if you're just going to have him standing still like that. Okay, next accessory. So I talked about the arrow when we talked about Tigerchest, but it does store here on the back of the throne. So right here, like this, there's two big sections. There's this big piece right here and this smaller port right there, which lines up perfectly with the tabs on the arrow. And if you're not using it on the throne, or you're not using it with Deathsaurus, or if you want to have, with Tigerchest, if you want to have it look like he is storing it, there's these big tabs right here on these back pieces, and you just put the longer tab. As you can see, there's a longer tab and a shorter tab. Put the longer tab here, and the arrow stores right on his back, which I think is really neat too, and it kind of gives him a warrior-esque look with the arrow sticking up there on the back. Doesn't really do much else here if it's not on the throne, if it's not on the back, and then it goes right on Tigerchest. So that's up to you, of course. Okay, next we'll talk about the mace. So the mace stores in two places on the throne. Right here, there is a peg hole on the back of the mace, peg on the back of the Decepticon symbol. That's place number one. And then the chain just kind of hangs loose, but the handle itself has the T-clip, which has a space right there to clip in the back of the throne, which is cool. And then you can just take this, and just like all the other weapons, they're on that T clip mechanism, so you just slide it into the hand and then close up the fingers around it, and you've got Deathsaurus wielding his mace. So it is a floppy chain. There's no articulation in it, so you do have to kind of, if you want it to be kind of thrown around or whatever, hold it like that or whatever you're gonna do. Otherwise, it will just dangle down, which it is a cool look if you just kind of have it dangling, or you could kind of try to do a wrap around kind of deal. Something, however you want to do that with that. But he does have a really cool mace, which I love. I've been able to get a couple cool shots out of it there. Just like everything else, if you want to store it on the man himself, you want to put the ball and the handle together, and then you look back here, you see this bucket where his head is. Just dip that in right there, and it just rests in the back, which is really, really neat. I do love that as well. All right, two more. First, we'll go ahead with the sword, a big old sword. Unpegs here. There's a big old trapezoid peg there, and a big old trapezoid peg hole here on the sword. That's where it goes for the throne. And man, this thing is super cool. It's so big. It's almost as tall as him, which is awesome. And it starts really small here, and it gets bigger and bigger as it goes down. Super, super awesome sword design with the red handle and the gold piece there and the silver blade. Very, very cool. Just like all the other accessories here. Locks in, and you fold the hands down. And I mean, come on. Isn't that just cool as hell, that look? I love that. And of course, you can put Tigerchest and Eaglechest there as well. Just totally amps it up. Full disclosure, totally amps up the design all over the place. Super, super cool. And again, if you even don't want to have the sword in his hand, if you turn to the back, here, there's a little trapezoid peg. And there's this little trapezoid piece here on the other side of the sword, so that you put it at kind of an angle and clip it in, and it's like sheathed across his back, which is Super, super cool. And of course, that leaves us with only one more weapon accessory, which is the ultimate, I don't remember the exact name for it. I will try to find it and put it on screen. Living metal destroying cannon, something like that. The way this plugs in here is there is just a peg on the back, or a peg hole on the back of the gun. There's a big peg right here on the throne, and these pieces sticking out to line up that piece with, so it plugs in right there. Now, I did mention before I fully put the throne away, you see these two little nibs up here at the top. There's the little holes on Eaglechest. You just put Eaglechest's little feet on those nubs at the top, and you can have Eaglechest resting on top of the throne while Deathsaurus sits in it, which is a really, really cool touch if you don't have him plugged in to the chest. So there is that, which is super cool. There's just a lot of cross-functionality in a lot of these things, which I really, really enjoy. Anyway, to the living metal destroying cannon, here it is, folded up. Now you have to transform it out. What you're going to do is you're just going to unpeg it. It doesn't even really peg in, like it kind of pegs in, but you know, it's like a soft peg in, right? So then you're going to flip it and it's going to expose the handle. Then you're just going to clip it together, straighten out that handle, take this piece, fold it down, and then fold all of the claw sections up here. Boom, 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 boom. And there is the full living metal destroying cannon, which looks spectacular all around. The silver on the front with the red here looks great. The black and the purples on this side look fantastic as well, and the silver here on the back. Now I'll bring in one of the blast effects again to show you. Blast effects fit in the front, so you can get a big pew pew out of the front there. Blast effects also fit in the back, so you can put them in the back just like that as well, or you can put one big one, you know, like a splash in the back and a little burst in the front, so that it looks like it's emitting power out of both ends or what have you, which is super, super cool. Set that down. Now for this guy in robot mode, all you're gonna do, this is the only one that doesn't store on him somewhere, to my determination. It doesn't say anywhere in the instructions to where to put it in robot mode, so you can't really store it anywhere. So he has to hold it, or it has to be stored on the throne. But it does have the same T-clip deal as all the others. Just get it nestled into the hand, close that up there, and then, whoops, the sword came off. That happens sometimes. It's all good. And then you can have Deathsaurus holding the living metal destroying cannon and absolutely obliterating the Autobots. I mean, even that is just so cool. But yes, as you can see, if you put the sword back on, and if you kept on and you put Tigerchest back on, then you get a full Deathsaurus, and he can store pretty much all of his weapons on him at one time. Again, if you're going to use something other than the living metal destroying cannon, that one doesn't store anywhere on him, but you can keep all of the accessories pretty much on him, which is so cool, and I love that they all have sort of double uses like that. That's all the accessories. We got the throne, we got the Micromasters. That's pretty much everything there in the robot mode. So last thing to do in robot mode before we move on is do a couple quick comparisons so you can really kind of see how this guy scales up here. All right, so here's Deathsaurus with some of the mainline size classes. Here he is with a core, here he is with a deluxe, here he is with a Voyager, so you can kind of see all that, how that goes. Here he is with leader class Studio Series Grimlock, so you can see how he scales with sort of leader class figures. And I wanted to do Grimlock because they mentioned in one of the live stream videos for Deathsaurus that their original idea was just Deathsaurus was going to be a retool of 86 Grimlock, which I think actually would have worked out very well. I would have liked to see how that toy would have gone. I'm glad we got this one, though. The HasLab one is beautiful and perfect, in my opinion, but it would have been cool to see how he looked as a Grimlock tool. Here he is with this year's Commander class Armada Prime. So you can see that he is a little bit bigger than Armada Prime, but Armada Prime's a little bit on the smaller side for Commander class just because of everything that he does. So, you know, he's more akin, or Deathsaurus is more akin to probably the size of Jetfire. All right, so that's gonna about cover Deathsaurus here in the robot mode. I know that was a lot. We're gonna go ahead now. Let's look at the transformation and get him transformed up into his super cool kaiju mode. All right, so to start off Deathsaurus transformation, I just went ahead and removed all the accessories, took out the breast masters for now. We will reincorporate them later. You can transform him with them attached in and on. It's just a little bit easier, in my opinion, to not have Tigerchest being all in the way there, so we'll put him back on later. But before you actually get to the robot, you want to make sure with the shield piece, you've got the little attachment in there, fold it up, close it together, and then you'll set this off to the side because you won't need it for a minute. All right, and now let's get him transformed. All right, and here, now that we have him all transformed up, is a quick overview of Deathsaurus in his kaiju mode, his, as we love to call it on the internet, his death chicken dinosaur mode, whatever this is. This thing is awesome. I honestly have such a hard time deciding how I'm going to want to display Deathsaurus because he looks great in robot mode with all the weapons and the throne and everything, but this thing is just so goddamn cool that I really can't decide. So yeah, enough about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the details here on our newly formed kaiju mode. All right, so we'll start up here with the head sculpt, which we of course did see on the back of Deathsaurus' robot mode, but now it's properly, fitting here. You can see it's done up all in that off-white color with the red eyes and this beautifully painted gold beak there. And there is, if you open up the mouth, some stuff going on the inside. There's a blast effect piece. It's painted up all silver. Looks very nice with some black here on the neck all the way around, except for on the backside where it's the cream color. And if you look at the front, you can see, yeah, this is just some robot kibble, hanging out here. He's got his little tiny dinosaur arms here, which are awesome. They're done up all in blue plastic. These were the cover pieces. Now the dinosaur chest Now moving down to what were his legs, you can see everything there is still just the same. There's his feet, there's his shins, there's his knees, yada, yada, yada. What were the arms become now the dinosaur legs. All that detail is still there, but you get a new little, I mean, it's not new because it was on the back, but you get this little vent section with the blue and the red going on in there, and you can see the dinosaur feet in their proper configuration, as opposed to just being on the back of the arm. They are painted all up in gold. Oops, there we go. Painted all up in gold. They were molded in the lighter blue color, it looks like. And you can see down here his tail, which was, of course, the shield piece in robot mode. You can see all the gray and the blue and the blacks going on there with all the molded detail happening all around the tail. Plus, he's got a Decepticon symbol right there on the back of it as well. And the back of the dinosaur itself is, you can see, you know, the little bit of the waist piece happening here. Not a little bit, like the whole waist piece, essentially, with some flaps to cover up and the blues and whatnot. There's the robot mode chest. The wings, of course, are still here, looking beautiful and haven't changed at all. And yeah, I mean, that's about it for the details on the kaiju mode there. Like, there's not a lot of, you know, new things happening with it. It's just a lot of reformatting of the pieces that already existed in the robot mode. But I think it does its job, and it works, and it's beautiful, and I just look at it. I love it. It's like owning a Godzilla Transformer. It's so cool. Anyway, let's go ahead. Since he has articulation in this mode, talk about his articulation really quick before we go ahead and look at how accessories work here. So in the kaiju mode here, the head is on a swivel. I actually did not know that. So it swivels side to side. It can go all the way around if you would like it to, which is super, super neat. And then his head does bend here, so it's kind of a flat at a 90, and you can straighten it all the way out. Obviously, that's how it is in the robot mode, but you can pivot that around. You can even move this back spike to sort of, you know, angle it however you wish. As you saw, the jaw does open as well. Ooh, it's a little tight, but it is there. Jaw does open. The little baby dinosaur arms are on ball joints here at the dino's shoulder, so they go all the way around. They go out all the way up that far. Or no, they're on hinge. They're on a double hinge system. I thought they were on a ball joint. Never mind. Take that back. They swivel here at the upper bicep, and they do have an elbow bend, obviously, all the way up, since that was how they were transformed. Nothing on the fingers there for the dino mode, but you know, that's totally fine. He does have also here in dino mode a little ab crunch. You can see the little section right there. So you can kind of get him on the bend, or you can get him going straight, however you want that to go, which is pretty neat because he didn't have that in the robot mode due to the way the arms lock. The wings are still on the same articulation joint, so they can bend all the way back like this, and then they can hinge, you know, out all the way to the side like so. The dinosaur legs are, you know, on the same shoulder pieces that the arms are, so they do rotate all the way around. They can go in and out if you would like them to. You just got to unlock them. They have a forward elbow if you would like to use, or a forward knee, I guess, if you would like to use that. They're meant to stay straight, I'm pretty sure. And then they do have this little like ankle pivot a little bit before things start to untab. The feet do swivel all the way around as well. Of course, we saw that in transformation, and they hinge down and up all the way around just like that, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, I mean, he's a little bit more of a brick in this mode than he was in robot mode, but still, he has some articulation in there. You can get some decently cool shots and poses out of that. And one of the ways that you can do that is with the stand. So if we bring the stand back in here, we'll talk about accessories now, how you can integrate some of these accessories, because he has a lot, as you saw, into the dinosaur mode. So if you want to, you can remove the stand piece from this little slider section, and you see the second slider section here, which is more of an angle. You can slide that in, and there's this little piece here at the top. Now, I mentioned this earlier, a sort of dino mode adapter. What you can do with this is on the underside, there is a little peg and a little clip, which correlates with a little peg and a little clip on the underside of Deathsaurus. Once you get it lined up and fully pushed in, there you go. You'll have a little red guy sticking out there, and that big port will go into this smaller port on top of the stand. And then there you have a flying around Deathsaurus. So you can pose him here however you would like on your flight stand, which is super, super cool. I love that they were able to do this. And then here's where you can integrate some of those other accessories, such as your blast effects. So you could bring those blast effects back. You saw there's a 5mm port in his mouth. You can have him, let's take this one off, have him blasting a laser out of his mouth. But there's also 5mm ports all over his feet. So what you can do is you can put the blast effect pieces into his feet on any of those 3 ports there, and you can make it look like he is blasting little jet effects out of his feet to help push him along, which is super, super cool. I do love that you're able to mess around with that all sorts of ways. Just helps bring the otherwise sort of bricked dinosaur mode to life a little bit, which is super, super fun. Overall, you can get them flying around. It's, again, that's why one of the reasons why I can't decide how I am going to display this guy. If we rip him off the stand, I do want to mention, usually whenever I take him off the stand, this piece just comes off of Deathsaurus instead of coming off the stand, so just be wary of that. I don't think it will be prone to any sort of breakage over time, but just be warned that it will come off of Deathsaurus, at least on my copy, rather than off of the stand. Now, a couple other accessory notes that I want to make here is the chest is, of course, fully open here on the back, so if you want to integrate the Breastmasters into Deathsaurus, you can put them both back on here. Obviously, you will want to leave, you don't want to flap these crest pieces on Tigerchest down. You want to leave them up, and that creates a pretty cool look. Honestly, I do really like the way that those come off sort of as extra maybe wings or extra spikes to make him look super cool in his dinosaur. I'm just going to keep calling it dinosaur. His dinosaur mode. And the only other accessory that really integrates with the dinosaur mode for any purpose is the living metal laser destroying, whatever it's called. I'll put the regular name up there. So if you look at the top of Deathsaurus's dinosaur mode, here is chicken mode. You see there's a little tab there. There is this, or a slot rather. There is a little tab right here. What you do is you put that tab into that shoulder piece. It clicks in, so it'll stay there nice and tight. And then you can just kind of adjust the arm to match the handle so that you can have him holding the cannon. Obviously, because this is kind of as straight as he'll stand, you can't get him pointing it like straight ahead. But if you put him, even if you put him on the stand, he's going to be kind of laying down like this. So he kind of walks around like this, going pew, 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 destroying, smaller bots or smaller cities or whatever. Obviously, if you put like a core class there in front of him, that's fairly good height for that. But yeah, it's still cool that you were able to integrate the living metal destroying cannon on there. Super, super fun. Before we wrap this whole video up, why don't we go ahead and show off some comparisons here with Deathsaurus in his dinosaur mode. All right, just so you can see how things have changed, here he is with a core class. You can see from the side and from the front how he looks with a core. Here with a deluxe, you can see, and from the side with a Voyager, and from the front. Here's how he looks with Studio Series Grimlock. You can kind of see definitely why they originally thought just make Deathsaurus a Grimlock retool. Very, very similar here in these two modes. A lot of similarities happening there. Even the transformations are vaguely similar. They have kind of similar traits. They're not exactly the same, but still cool to see. And here he is with our 2023 Commander class, Armada Optimus Prime. All right, well, it's going to about do it here for Deathsaurus, my full look at him. So let's go ahead and make our way back up to me for my final Deathysaurus thoughts. All right, so what are my thoughts on the big bad Deathsaurus here? Well, if you couldn't tell throughout the video, I freaking love this thing. I'm super sad I missed out on Victory Saber. I definitely am going to need a Victory Saber now to go with this guy. But yeah, well worth it in my opinion. It was well worth the price, well worth the entire year of waiting. He is so much fun. I have not been able to put him down since I opened him up the other day. HasLab for Transformers continues to be a hit in my opinion, and Deathsaurus here is no different. This mode is fantastic. Robot mode is really solid. Transformation is really fun actually too as well. It's fairly simple, but it's really fun. All of the accessories that he comes with are super neat, super cool. The throne is fantastic. I even enjoy the Micromasters a lot, and the Breastmasters are really cool too. Overall, he's just a really, really awesome piece, and I'm glad that he is finally here and that I finally have him to put on the shelf. Now I just need to get a Victory Saber, man. Alright guys, that is going to do it for my full review of the Transformers HasLab Legacy Deathsaurus. So go ahead and let me know your thoughts on Deathsaurus down below. Let me know if you decided to back him, how many you got, if you got him already, if you're enjoying him, all that good stuff. I want to talk all things Deathsaurus down below. And guys, without further ado, as always, I have been your host, Deceptibot9. Thank you, as always, for coming to another video, and I will see you guys later.